So my name is Vivian. I'm from Nigeria, and for
Ooh,
me,
hello. Hello, sister.
poetry helps me to make sense of the world around me. It kind of helps me to. It brings beauty to like the very little things that we see as mundane, or some things that becomes that are ordinary. Poetry immediately elevates the meaning of those things, right? So for me, that's the first aspect. It's healing first to me, and then secondly, poetry is my voice. It gives me a voice. It gives me power. So I'm not in government, or I'm not like a high profile diplomat, but poetry is what gives me voice. So it's my own way of contributing to the world around me. Yeah.
Yeah, while we'll also continue our conversation, we would like our online community to drop in the comment section. What do you think? Why is poetry important to you? Go ahead, somebody from Lagos.
My name is Esther from Lagos, Nigeria. I think poetry is a means of expressing yourself. For me, poetry is a way I see life in poetry. Everything we do in life, poetry. From the way we write, from the way we walk, our dressing, everything we do is poetry. So I see poetry as life itself and how I express myself. So that's what poetry is to me.
What do you think? Why is poetry important to you?
Poetry is important because for me, I like to talk, right? And I've gone through some dark times. I like the way you introduced it in the darkest moments. So for poetry, I get to find this expression because, and like I said earlier, I like to talk. But what better way to talk than to say exactly how it is from your heart, not from your mind, and then just add a few metaphors to what you're saying.
I see that Lagos have somebody new in their house. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, very well, thank you. My name is Glory.
Maybe Ruth can tell you again about what we're talking about before we proceed.
Yes, Glory. I mean, Glory is a poet, so I think it would be good for her to share why is poetry important to you?
I'll say poetry is important to me because it helps for self reflection. Sometimes I'm not able to get out the expression of how I'm feeling, but when I start writing, it's easier to express myself through flowery words and deep and meaningful words. It's easier like that to just express myself and write it out.
So that sounds cool. Gilan, I think that our online guests should share with us why poetry is important to them as well. If we get any comments, we'll read them out. But in the meantime, I just want to flag to our guests that our next question is something along the lines of what piece of poetry has been significant or is significant to you, and for you to share it. So you may want to bring it out now if you wrote it down somewhere or something. So you're not caught unaware. So Gilan, can we have somebody from your side share with us what piece of poetry is important to them? Because I don't want us to be too serious here. To be a bit unserious or funny, I used to think that poetry was a waste of my time. Honestly, because I'll read some poems and I'll just, okay, what are you trying to say? Like, you're just confusing me. I don't understand. But with time, just like Gloria said, it makes me reflect deeply, think deeply. Sometimes you even, go deep into meditation simply because you want to understand a piece of poetry. Now, that's for someone. I'm not particularly a poet. I don't write poems, but I mean, I'm a reader, though I read more of stories, but poems are more abstract to me. But it has made me, actually reflect even more. When I read it, it makes me think deeply. I think it helped me to develop my critical thinking skills, actually, because I want to decipher what the person is talking about. Yeah. So anyway, that's on the lighter note. So what piece of poetry is important to you or has been important to you sometime in your life, and why? And if you can share it with us, it would be great as well. So can we start from somebody over there in Kigali?
Yeah, somebody in the front row here.
Okay. My name is Theodora Ibunike. I'm Nigerian. And
Oh,
a piece,
hello, Nigerian.
and a piece of poetry that had been very significant to me is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. So I first heard that poem when I was in secondary school. So someone was presenting it to me and I resonated so deeply with it. And I was like, I like the way she phrased the words so lyrically. Like it was so significant to me because he articulated something that was so important about your self-worth, your self-dignity. And that's why that poem is important to me. So would I have to present it?
maybe if you want to share with us that one or
Okay.
your piece of poem, like because you are a poet, right?
Yes, I am.
I read your bio.
Okay. Would I have another chance to perform my own?
Yes, you can have another chance.
Okay. I'd like to say Still I Rise.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm so excited. Everybody, please.
Okay. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Do you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me down with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I'm the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Yes.
Wow.
Over to you guys. What piece of poetry changed your life? And you want to share? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have one. So I heard this poem in secondary school. It was one of those recommended poems for senior secondary school, and it's called "The Pulley" by George Herbert. And this is how it goes. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us be, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches, which dispersed lie, contract into a span. So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure rest in the bottom bay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary. That at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. When I heard this, I'm Christian, so like my faith is very important to me. But I always wondered why I just felt like a certain level of emptiness sometimes. Like even when I would, get the best grades, go out and have fun, I just still felt sort of empty when I had not built my relationship with God. And this poem was just like, ooh, okay, this is a perspective. So God like keeps you pining for him until you find him before you know like peace and before you feel full. So that was
Wow.
We have our online community. Jake joining us from London says, I also love Still I Rise. Beautiful. So yeah, tell us.
Okay, for me, I like to call my poetry dark. Dark because it's the way I express grief. I lost a friend and I just had to express it somehow. And the way I could express was to write the poem. I got heartbroken. I just had to express it somehow. the way I could express it is write the poem. So there's a particular piece of poetry that I can never forget, and I would like to share. By the way, my name is Oden. I'm so sorry I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
I'm also a poet.
All right. I made a promise to the sun that the moon and stars won't see me cry. But then came night. It reminded me of all the time that was lost. Paying tribute to pleasant memories, the thought of you gone, constantly rampaging. Silence, thin air, cold feet as I slowly gasp for breath. But underneath this pillow, I find hope. That is today, the same way the night breaks, is exactly how the day becomes. Thank you.
I'm supposed to be facilitating, but I have goosebumps. It's really getting emotional for me in here. So yeah, what about you? Is there a piece of poetry that? Go ahead.
Not really. My name is Anton Baigwe. I'm from Nigeria, but I'm not really a poet. But I love the creativity behind poetry, and I love listening to beautiful things. So when someone gets creative and like this, what the poet you just read right now, I felt connected to it, right? So when someone creates something beautiful, I tend to admire it a lot. Just it's fascinating.
It's fascinating English. Great.
Yeah, but that's why I love poetry. Not just poetry, but yeah, poems, a lot of beautiful things, art.
We are still talking about a piece that changed our life of poetry. Now, over to you, Lagos. Would you like to share?
I would like to share. This one was written by me in the time when I was actually thinking about who I am, what's my identity, why am I on earth? So I asked myself the question, what is your name? And I was thinking, what can I say about me? What do I want people to, think about when they see me or when they hear about me? And it's a short poem. It says, my name is Esther. I was born on Easter. I don't drink stars, but I shine like a star. I know I am able, also acceptable. I am unbeatable. With God, all things are possible. So every time I say this to myself, it gives me this sense of this is who you are. Even when I'm going through something that is not really nice, I tell myself, I am unbeatable. With God, all things are possible. When I'm in situations that are dark and gloomy, I tell myself, I am a star and I will shine as a star. So this keeps me going even when I'm in my downtime. So that's one.
You're indeed a star.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Oh, okay. The poem that Tudor mentioned, "Still I Rise," that's one of the early poems that actually changed my life. The Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. But most recently, one of the poets that I've come to really love, her name is Titilope Shunuga. She's amazing, and her poems have got me through really tough times within the past 3-5 years. So the poem it's called "Becoming" by Titilope. It says that when the world unravels before you, and even your dreams are crumbling stones, when everything you dare to touch is set on fire and all around you is ash and smoke, remember this: the rock bottom is a perfect place for rebuilding. Remember that you are your mother's daughter, your grandmother's answered prayers, a whole bloodline of women who bend in response to raging winds. There is nothing broken here, nothing damaged or discarded here. Each scar is a badge of honor, every misstep a victory dance waiting to happen. Yeah. You are a woman becoming, learning the complicated language of forgiveness, the intricate blessings of the universe, and your heart is just a whisper and needs exercise. And you were born for this sort of heavy lifting. You were born one part saint, one part warrior. Loving yourself without shame is the most important thing you will ever have to fight for. That poem has like very like really dark times for me when I was, questioning myself, questioning how far my journey has come, if I've actually achieved everything I want to achieve. When you're struggling with, what are my dreams again? Like, there's a time in your life you feel like I've got this all figured out. And then there's a time when you feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, what is it that I want? What is it I want to achieve? Why am I still stuck in this particular place? So that poem has really gotten me through all of those times. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
To our online community that is still watching us, I'm actually in as well. I'd like to ask this question. How might we use the transformative power of poetry to address social issues, inspire change, and promote activism? How do you use your voices in poetry to inspire change? Anyone would like to share? Okay, Theodora, go ahead, and you have the opportunity to share your own poetry.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
How might we use transformative power of poetry to address social issues, inspire change, and promote activism? How do you use your voice in poetry to inspire change, for example?
Okay. So the question is, how can you use poetry to inspire change in social activism? So I feel like poetry is a very significant tool because it's art in a sense, and art has a way of sneaking up on you. Like it's a very latent becoming. Like you wouldn't even register when you're thinking about this poem, you're thinking about this line, you're thinking about this song, you're humming a song. It's a very latent kind of thing. So that's why art is so powerful, and that's why you can use it for social change. Because once you start writing, you wouldn't even realize when your voice is impacting people. You wouldn't realize when people are reading your work and doing things like that. So that's why art is particularly important, and that's how you can use it for social change, because you wouldn't know when it will be publicized, and lots of people are seeing your work, and the words you're writing are spurring like a belief or a faith in some people, and they just want to make change in whatever they're doing, in whatever things they're involved with. Yeah.
I also personally, somebody go ahead.
Personally, I feel like poem or like art, like she said, one can use it to promote activism through understanding the challenges that people are going through. Because if you do not understand it, you cannot speak about it. And through understanding it, you are able to speak for people and like speak the minds of people through your writing, through your expressions. And yeah, I think you said we can share a poem that we wrote. So I wrote this during the NSAS movement. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Is anybody familiar with
Yeah.
all right. So I wrote this during that period, and here it goes. To those who were meant to protect our lives but led us to mourning. Trigger happy another life is taken. A bright destiny is turned into a dark and painful memory, all because you couldn't keep those hands steady. In acrimony, we've taken to the streets, raising our voices in solidarity. We refuse to be seen as defenseless or weak. With our protests, we speak. How many more will you kill? Police is your friend. The irony of that statement screams. Hearts racing and palms sweating just at the sight of that uniform we said would give us safety. Just as we mourn one, we lose yet another one. Our tears continue to run. Properties could be replaced, but a life lost is forever gone. We've been silent for too long. You have finally woken up the sleeping dog. Welcome to the break of a new dawn.
Wow. I think that's a very graphical representation of what happened during the NSAS movement. And I think that maybe it's just me, but a lot of poets start out from self-reflection and meditation. So I think that maybe using poetry for social activism or things like that probably takes a bit more of being deliberate, just like Gloria said, about understanding these social issues and then maybe even empathizing with the people who have gone through them, or if you have gone through them and then writing about it. But now I think that it shouldn't be just about, writing a poem that talks about a particular social issue. If a poem could also provide some solutions, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. We have an amazing guest here who hasn't said a word, and I would like us to give her the space to tell us something. Tell us something.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Gift Divine. I'm from Rwanda. And I'm not particularly a poet, but I'm a fan of poetry and art in general. And I think poetry could be used for activism because poetry has a way of making you feel what the poet is trying to address. And activism is meant to get people to take action in a certain social activity or anything you're trying to address. So poetry could be really used to address certain topics and certain situations because it has a way of tapping into your feelings and getting you to want to do something or understand what the person is trying to address. So I think it would be a really powerful tool of addressing the problems we have globally and starting from our communities. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Lou? How has poetry, or how can you use poetry to inspire change or for social activism?
Like Gloria said, I think that how can you use poetry to inspire change? Okay, I think that you cannot write about something that you've not gone through. I think writing poetry to inspire change has to come from a place of empathy, right? Being able to relate with the issues the people affected have gone through and then writing something meaningful about it. I think with that, when somebody that has gone through a particular horrible experience reads something that he or she can, connect with, I mean, it can bring about change. I think it can bring about change.
But I also say that, I don't know if anybody has, if it is possible, to be good to share some, Gloria shared one, that's our own poem. But if it would be possible to share a poem that maybe, can be used to spur activism or, something like that, just like the one that, is it Gloria that shared that or who? I shared that by Titi Lokwe. That one inspires you to motivates you, yeah, to know who you are, emboldens you, confident, exactly. So I don't know if there are such poems as well that anybody can refer to that, like I always say, that not just talks about the problems, but also maybe provides a solution or two, because we can use flowery words for problems, but can we have some solutions in between,
Let me share this one I wrote. Title is Peace is Coming. Peace is coming. I sit, I think, I ponder and wonder, what exactly is peace? Is peace truly attainable? In a world already broken in pieces, how can we truly be peaceful? In a world full of chaos, corruption, and confusion, there is a place where peace resides. When you close your eyes and inhale the smoke from wars, burnings, and blastings, peace comes as a glimmer of hope. In a world full of errors, terrors, and oppressors, there is a system which peace operates. When grudges, unjust suffering, and conflicts are unveiled, the power of emotions are crippled by fear. Peace comes as part of our creativity. In a world full of troubles, trials, and temptations, there is a person who is and gives peace. When the storm of the sea is raging, the events of uncertainty chokes our existence. Peace comes as a great crowned peace. Peace is a person, not an idea. Peace is a state, not a feeling. Peace is you. Peace is me. Rest now in peace till we meet again. Peace is coming. It starts with you. So I think this poem, for me, speaks to me in the sense that we don't have to wait for somebody else to bring peace. We all see the things that are happening in our world today. There is war, there is this and that, confusion everywhere. But if we can start from seeing ourselves as people who are agents of peace, It's not a must that you retaliate. See yourself as somebody that is to bring this peace, not waiting for a government, or see yourself as that person. And then we are inspiring change that way, seeing this solution as beginning from individuals themselves.
Wow,
So
that's truly inspirational.
She wants to share with us.
Okay, I'm one of those persons that believe that Africa has a heartbeat, and for me, one of the central focus of my poetry is negritude, and the fact that to convey what it is we are, what Africa is about, and how we can rise as Africans. But before I say that, I'd like to say that poetry is beauty, and beauty attracts. And I know a lot of poets who are using their poetry beyond the stage. Like, example is Emi Mahmoud. Emi Mahmoud is a Sudanese poet who is based in the US now, and she writes poetry around like the experiences of refugees, because she's a UN refugee ambassador. And I think some time ago she was able to mobilize young people in Sudan to take a march, right, to like as a way of defiance against the government. I have the poets friends back home in Nigeria who use poetry as a way to like advocate for like the against the use of substance abuse and violence, word in Enya, Psalms and Proverbs. These are young people who are using poetry beyond like just performing on stage. They're actively raising awareness to issues that need to be talked about, but also that people need to take action on. Yeah. So from a personal level, this poem is titled "The Glory Is Here." And I wrote this poem, it came as a result of several conversations I've had with non-Africans, right? The perception of what Africa is and who we are as Africans. Mm-hmm. So this is, like I said, it's titled "The Glory Is Here." Yeah. Our fathers told us stories of men who fought for the collective futures of our continent, so that we too can sing one day when the glory comes. Today we stand with our shoulders high, our heads held up, our voices in defiance, the courage to dream and the boldness to declare that the glory is here. It's in the way the sun welcomes us into the morning, carrying in its wake hues of new beginnings. It's in the sacrifices of the ones who lived before us, Mandela, Nkrumah, Azikiwe, Lumumba, Kenyatta, Selassie. It's in the creativity and tenacity of our youth. It's in the richness and diversity of our cultures, the laughter in our eyes when we connect over jollof wars in the streets of IG, how the East holds out its own with majesty, how the West dances its way through obstacles, how the South models democracy with a touch of Kwaito, and the graceful flow of the Nile, distributing hope as it swaggers across the North. It is in our colors, our savannas, the vast Serengeti, our people, our music, our food, the taste of Bangu on the tongue of a native Ashanti, the sway of epic waistlines to the rhythm of epic ballads, language, rhythm, pulse, feel the pulse of our heartbeats, follow our rhythm on a heartbeat from Lagos to Timbuktu, Kigali to Djibouti, Nairobi to Kinshasa, Madagascar, Mombasa, Casablanca, Mogadishu. The glory is here. The glory is here. So when we speak of the glory, when we speak about Africa, we're not in denial of our challenges or struggles. We're only saying, what if? What if we begin to see the possibilities within our people and our land? What if the grass is greener here when we begin to nurture it? What if we own our stories and redefine the narrative of what success is and should look like for us? What if we can change the course of our lives through intentional language and the simple science of words? What if what we already have is all that we need to re-engineer the future of our continent? What if everything we've ever dreamed of, ever imagined, ever wanted, ever aspired to is right here in this continent of dreamers, artists, scientists, activists, innovators, disruptors, and outliers? We are saying the black, brown, the materials from which we are made of is bold, beautiful, brave, brilliant, and buoyant. We are saying that we are magic, that we are a runway of ideas, spinning greatness across borders and weaving the soul of Ubuntu, Afrobeats, Afro melodies, Afrofusion into cities and neighborhoods. We are saying that we are the birthplace of civilization, language, mathematics, architecture, medicine. And we are saying that we are an ancient collection of tribes, the mother of all lands. We are Africa, and the glory is here. Thank you very much.
That was breathtaking. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was amazing.
I need a moment of silence.
I almost feel like I could go outside and scream,
Yeah. Wow.
That's so
So yeah,
healing.
this is what that means to me. That's what Africa means to me. And I just want the whole world to know that Africa is more than the poverty porn that's, the West, the narratives out there that, we are depending so much on the West that we don't have an identity. We have an identity. We have brilliant people within Africa. We have people, young people who are beginning to wake up to the realization of the responsibility that we have. And so it's important that we're also telling these stories. It's important that we know it, and it's important that the rest of the world knows it. So that's one way that I use my poetry. Right.
That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. You're a very good advocate of Africa.
I feel like these spaces where we also get to have conversations about not necessarily ordinary words, but words that require us to think deeply, or even poetry that helps us to release anger, to release any negative energy from our bodies. I feel like this is just an amazing space to have all the people across the world recognize the kind of art. I would like to welcome you if you are ready to share yours.
Tiana?
Oh, okay. Okay, I think you're referring to me. Okay. Okay, so taking a step back from the activism angle, this is more of like self-reflection. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. It's called overcompensation. I keep on trying to overcompensate, as if I'm in lack of some sort. As if when my Father in heaven was creating me, he cut me short in some area or the other. And now everything I do is to the extreme. Because if I am lacking, then I must do everything in my power to conceal that. If I smile, it is to the extreme, because surely no one must know that my face is etched in a permanent frown. If I laugh, it is to the extreme, because it must not be seen that my sense of humor was lost a long time ago. If I dress, it is to the extreme, because surely everyone was like me, right? If I study, it is to the extreme. I kill myself over and over again. I must be the best, right? Academic excellence is enough to sacrifice for. If I exist, it's to the extreme. No, that's not right. That's the one angle I struggle with. Existing. Who am I? Who is Theodora Ebunike? Am I my ancestors' sweat and blood? The centuries of hard work embodied? Am I my father's sacrifice? The years he hustled before he made it? The burdens that we cannot see stacked on his back? Am I my mother's prayers? The requests only shared between her and God? Her passion that showed in everything she does? The pride that showed in her eyes when I made the Ebunike name proud? Am I? No, I am not those things. They are a part of who I am, but they are not me. I am who the Bible says I am in Galatians 2 verse 10, when it says I am a masterpiece. I'm who the Bible says I am in Psalm 84 verse 4 that says I am blessed and highly favored. I'm who the Bible says I am in Ephesians 3 verse 19 that says I am loved beyond measure. I'm who the Bible says I am in Psalm 34 verse 15 that says I am seen. I'm who the Bible says I am in Psalm 37 verse 6 to 16 that says I am validated. I'm who the Bible says I am in 1 Peter verse 2 verse 9 that says I am chosen. I am who the Bible says I am in Romans 8 verse 37 that says I am more than a conqueror. I am who the Bible says I am in Colossians 3 verse 12 to 13 that says I am enough. So I do not need to overcompensate because I am enough. God created me full and whole.
We have some of the reactions from our online community. Sasha from Copenhagen said, I am so moved. Thank you. Jade from London again said, we are Africa. Love it. That was wonderful. Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I actually also would like to share my piece. I'm supposed to be facilitating this conversation, but I can't help it. The energy in this house is so lovely. So my piece is called Soul Cry. I wrote this to actually represent a lot of people out there, a lot of voices that are crying, but they're not able to put it into words to tell to people, but they just grab a pen and a piece of paper to write about their feelings sometimes that they could not necessarily open up about to any other available person. I've gotten used to being loud deep down, knowing I've said less, a feeling that makes me a mess, suffering my loss in silence so I don't look silly, pausing straight to help those who sought solace, fighting myself when my introversion shouts so loud that I don't divert from what is expected. We're solving riddles. Sanity means getting your heart smashed but still smile to seal the signs of a sad soul that you are on the inside, so you remain sober at all costs, like sucking on your own saggy bosom, seeking to stabilize your so-called sentiments. Authenticity is a sacrilege that you can get sued for. How long will I walk? When the crutches that carried the carry me drive carts, when I mismatch and I'm forced to rematch, when I beseech the universe to catch me my match and bring him closer, but he calls me a snatcher, and when I get caught by the owner who can be my co-partner, when I itch and my forever won't reach out to scratch my back, it will never cease to astonish me. The alpha me with the greatest ferocy isn't faked. Faking frustration out of the flow will have you fall flat on your face. F words, form of therapy, are a factual taboo. Phrases you stole, my afflators made you famous. Famished to flex with the flashy that's borrowed. Not Allah. Just a matchstick to light up my world. A glance. So my spirit is lifted, and I'm yours to drain. A spit in my mouth so I can puke you an ocean with life in it. A single drop of tears to bring back the soul you've torn apart. A gesture, just a little something to bring back my sanity that you took away, and take away my anxiety. All I ask is, mourn me alive so you won't throw me dead away. A bit of concern and I'm reassured you won't roast and feed on me. A fake smile and I'm not frightened to be threatened. For God's sake, remember the 3-year-old me and stop defaming me, because I was the hope of those who left and I still need to build the legacy. Twice as much. Proving purified peace from a point of chaos pouring from the emptiness, your cup that yourself alone can't even depend on. The passion of compassion, of a compassionate heart of one who turns into a punk, pretense getting promoted, perfection becomes a lie that plenty of us praise. Stop. The approval seeking from a power who's running at a pace twice your own. Playing with disguised demons, you will put an end to your soul. Deceiving yourself with facts that consume the city of hope you're trying to build for yourself. The comfort keeps itself out of your beautiful touch.
That was
I know,
beautiful.
like you play on words, the alliterations, even the style, the language, like the language is beautiful, like seriously.
And I'm just realizing that I know I said I didn't used to read poems, but now it just occurred to me that a lot of songwriters actually write their songs as poems. So what I used to do was, like, if I love the song, I would read instead of listening, I would listen to the song, but I prefer to go and read the lyrics. And then I'm just connecting the dots together now that, wait, most of those lyrics were actually poems, because you would usually have rhymes, and I mean it was basically poems that they put music to, and it's just, maybe that's the way that I connect with. I guess I love poems after all. But that was beautiful. Do we have more poems that need to be shared? Does anyone have poems to be shared?
Yes.
I think we can take. I think we can take 2 more. So one from Kigali, one more from Nigeria before we wrap up.
Yes.
Okay. So this poem is actually a very short one, and it's called "I'm Just a Man." So this poem is inspired by the fact that the most loved in this world are women, children, and dogs. Like that's what they say. But yeah, men only get flowers when they are dead, sadly. So yeah, this poem was inspired by that fact that men life matters too. I mean, yeah. Very short, trust me, 60 seconds.
Ready for it.
All right. I'm just a man, and this is no excuse to paint my inappropriation and inordinate action. This is just a statement of fact. You see, society likes to paint us dark, but all I wanted was to be a whiteboard so you can paint me with beautiful colors and clean up those dark spots. See, I'm just a man. Every day I look for where to live. And now I just moved in this new apartment of doubt. See, fear is my landlord and mediocrity lives next door. Dreams are hard to come by in this new apartment because every time I reach for the stars, I always get down. See, I'm just a man. I've always longed for love. I've always wanted to be loved. I've always looked in your eyes to see if you'd stare me back. See, I'm just a man. And all I want for right now is for someone to tell me, hey, I'm proud of you. I wish you could take me to the park so you can see how beautiful nature is. I wish you could kiss me goodnight just like my mom would have. I wish you could see that I'm just a man.
I mean, we get this
But listening to dance, you know that dance is more of a poet than a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, yes, let's advocate for men.
I mean, I can. All right.
All right, so I wrote this one because we're African. I feel like we can all relate to how adults are kind of condescending when you're sharing your life experiences or when you're in a work environment or a school environment. They're just like, what do you think you know? So I wrote this because of that, you know. So it's kind of sarcasm. Let me just read it. The young be silent and docile. Speak the truth and be confident, but not to me, I'm older. Respect is reciprocal. It doesn't apply to you, you're younger. Express yourself and hold nothing in. Such disrespect, how rude you are. And an entire generation raised to be either cowardly or resentful. It is a sick cycle. Wait for your turn to be a big bully. It's a punishable sin to be told the truth or be questioned by someone younger. It's sweeter to condemn and strike with venomous words. They will surely surrender. I will speak and they must listen. Older is always wiser. No defense must be made. They must remain sober. A young, dumb generation, nothing to offer. After all, they are still so little. They shouldn't feel. They should never respond nor react, but be broken with bended heads and knees. Yes, this is how it should be. Creating a colony of puppets. Perfect. It's a culture we must pass on. Ironically, we wonder why we are stuck with old leaders.
Well, I think that probably speaks to a lot of us, or all of us, because we are young people. And yes, I mean, it's just like a pure statement of fact that you've just shared. I want to thank you all for like being so expressive. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you for being so expressive. I really hope, I don't know, but do we have ways to get more of our poems out there? I mean, a lot of people, some of us don't particularly write poems, but we would like to read more poems, you know, that inspire us. I've heard a lot of poems today that inspired me, and they are absolutely beautiful. So I just want to say that let's get more of our poems out there. Let's write more and let's get them out there so that more people will be encouraged and more people, you know, we can raise, even just like we have shared, we can use it for social change and social activism as well. Plus, like I was saying earlier, reading poems help me to, you know, probably build some critical thinking skills. I think perhaps the younger generation might need more of it. So maybe we should also share some for the younger generation, right, Ilan?
Yes, absolutely. We're almost coming to an end of this conversation, but before we go anywhere, I'd like to remind the online community and us that we can always keep in touch with the Museum for the United Nations on all social media platforms, Instagram, Museum for the UN, LinkedIn, Museum for the United Nations, UN Live, Facebook, Museum for the United Nations, UN Live, Twitter, Museum for the UN. And you can also check on the website, Museum for the United Nations.com. Well, before we actually depart, I would like anyone or some people here and from there to tell us, what is your take from this conversation? What stood out for you in using one sentence or one word? Whatever is easy for you. What is your takeaway from this conversation? How do you feel?
Yes.
Yeah, or anyone else.
Okay. For me, my takeaway is the fact that we need to do more to actually raise awareness to the issues that we care about, because we all care about different things.
Yeah.
And this is actually a potent medium. Poetry is a potent medium. It does more than we give it credit for. And so, yeah, that's my takeaway. And I want to say thank you to the facilitators, to you, and to the UN Museum for putting this together.
Quickly before we close, my colleague is here. I'll let him say his name and then we'll continue to our closing.
Hello everyone. I'm Daniel Paul from Nigeria, or at least African University.
Yeah.
I dabble in poetry and Afro fantasy.
Wow, nice. Afro fantasy picture. I like that.
I mean, how cool. Facilitators, but they're also into poetry, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah. Would you guys like to tell us what's your takeaway before we close?
I just want to say that poetry is not dead. There's power in poetry. There's power in our words, and we should not let it die. We can do more with poetry. Thank you.
Over to you.
Okay, first off, I'd like to say that this was an amazing session. I mean, the atmosphere was very electric. And one thing I noticed is that poetry gave everybody that presented today, gave them the means of expressing themselves to the best depths that they could. So I think everybody should be a poet. That's one thing I learned from today's session.
Hey, everyone should be a poet. You the next up.
Right? Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was speaking to someone and I just realized how poetry is actually a very vulnerable thing. Like when you write out your feelings and you have to share it, no, not that you have to, you share it. It's very vulnerable because people get to see another side of you. I'll say people see me as a very happy, clappy, cheerful person. And like he said, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. About how some of your poems are very melancholic. When people hear some of the poems, they're like, "Are you fine?" So it's a very vulnerable we call it talent. But yeah, that's what I
So just to add to what she said, I just remember when there was a period in my time, I think I lost someone very close to me. So I was writing about death almost every day, and people would keep asking, "Are you fine? Is everything okay?" But I try to make them understand that there is beauty in death. We should not just see death as something bad, something negative. Look at seeds, for example. When we plant seed, let's say maize, for example, it has to die before it comes forth. So poetry is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
creative.
Okay, fine. I'll become a poet. Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much to our guests over there in Kigali and here in Lagos. This was such a beautiful connection. We wish we could go on and on, but best believe we'll be back again. So please just stay tuned. And thank you to everybody who connected with us from all around the world online. If you are watching this after this session, please feel free to still drop your comments and also reach out to us at the Museum for the United Nations if you want to. And want to, of course, say thank you to our partners, Shared Studios, for powering these crucial conversations. And at this point, we say have a great morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are around the world. So bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, guys.